September's indie box featured the Stanley Parable. The box featured a physical copy of the game on a CD, a mousepad, business cards, soundtrack, and a tie.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
What's going on, guys? BadLuck727 here, and let's just get right into this. The uniqueness of the open-ended gameplay creates an interactive experience for the player. Depending on the choices you make, the outcome of the events in the game will change. Playing through for the first time and listening to the narrator every step of the way will result in one ending, but you never have to listen to him. There are always 2 or more choices he presents you with. During one playthrough, you could listen to him till the very last second, then ignore his warnings and press yes anyway. In another, you could disobey him from the start and go in the right door instead of the left. You could even ignore him entirely and go sit in a broom closet for a couple hours. The possibilities are endless. There's even new content with repetition. As you play the mind control ending, the narrator gives you the code to open a secret door in your boss's office. If you keep repeating this ending, the narrator becomes quite annoyed and even angrily leaves the secret door wide open, exclaiming, "Just go!" I would highly recommend this game to anyone who enjoys fun, freedom, and fantastic British voice acting with tongue-in-cheek humor.
In the middle of something, do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you?
The game has high replayability since there are so many possible endings, allowing for a fairly dense storyline. Just don't do the baby ending. It's a bad time.
But is there really a free choice? Going through the door on the left means admitting defeat to the narrator and following his instructions, while the right means going against the narrator, but what if that's what he wanted you to do all along? No matter what you do, the narrator has already predetermined your choice and will adjust his story accordingly. How do we know Stanley even exists? Here's the better question. Who is Stanley? Cogito ergo sum, or I think therefore I am. A famous quote by the rationalist philosopher Descartes. Just like Stanley, Descartes questioned his existence. Was everything he experienced just the experience of an all-knowing, all-seeing narrator? Did he even exist outside of Office 427? Descartes asked the question, what can I know to be beyond all possible doubt? If I can doubt myself, then I am thinking. If I am thinking, then I must exist. I am a thinking thing, or res cogitans.
Now we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay, now if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that.
Well, allow me to shed some light on the subject. What the narrator is referring to is an idea we call phenomenological experience, or phenomenalism. It is the belief that we do not exist outside of our senses. The only things you know are things that exist in your mind, and the things that you can smell, taste, hear, etc. Every person perceives reality differently. Some people see more colors than others, some people see less, some people can't see at all. Some people can hear incredibly well, while others have incredibly fine-tuned palates. Each of our experiences are different, therefore each of our existences are different. Stanley is going through an existential crisis. Everything must exist because I can see it. I've lived it. I can touch the keyboard on my desk. I can smell the coffee in the break room. I can hear my coworkers laughing outside of my office. Of course I exist. This belief is otherwise known as solipsism. You are the only existent being, and everything around you is produced by you. This motif of isolation is carried from the very beginning of the game. So what part does the narrator play in all of this? Why is he here? Why does he dictate everything you do? Why is this his story? For that, we need to visit this ending.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Stanley and the narrator depend on one another. The narrator depends on Stanley to follow his choices to tell his story, while Stanley depends on the narrator to fulfill his own sense of control in his life. It's a constant circular back and forth between the two characters. But if you really think about it, is it? No matter what Stanley does, there are only two choices. Stanley either does what he says, or he doesn't. There's even an ending where the narrator gives him a third option. But it isn't. You either follow his third option, or go through the other doors. Stanley has no free will. Everything has been predetermined for him. From the moment he presses start, the path of all of his choices have already been made. Wait. Stanley doesn't press start. You are the one that pressed start. Wait. Yeah, you guessed it. You are Stanley. This idea is even reinforced in this ending. You're following the given instructions without questioning why. If you don't do what he says, nothing progresses. The story just stands still. Why? A parable is a story that's supposed to teach a moral or a spiritual lesson. I hate to be the one to put the final nail in the coffin, but there is no free will. Life is just a myriad of ultimatums that pass by. You either choose to do something or you don't, until you die. But guess what? The end is never the end. This video was brought to you by the Indie Box, a monthly subscription service where you pay $25 a month and receive a physical collector's edition of your favorite indie games. Use our link in the description below to subscribe today.